He was known as the baby that smiled. I remember the next morning one of the nurses knocked on the door and said, "I want to come in and see the baby who smiles a lot."
My brother Jonathan and I used to play with Legos.
My brother Jonathan, he was really kind. He never really yelled at anyone. And he was always, had a jokes crack. It was always actually funny.
We first noticed something was wrong. It was late July. We all came home, he sat down, and I noticed his leg was looked swollen, and we started talking about it, and we went to the emergency room at night because wow, this is really, doesn't look right.
I believe they diagnosed him that Thursday. It wasn't even a full week. And then he actually started treatment, had the port put in and everything else, I think August 17th, because it was our anniversary. And that's how we started the 10 months of Ewing sarcoma treatment.
The first time we heard his diagnosis and that he had cancer, we were just in disbelief. I mean, it was a shock. The next big shock was that the treatment that they were describing to us was something they had been doing since around the 1980s and has only had small changes in all those decades between then and now. And it was just shocking that we started asking those questions like, well, why? I mean, we know there's lots of cancer research going on. You see it advertised everywhere, but we had no idea that it was all adult cancer research. And so, that's when we started learning about CancerFree Kids as Jonathan went through this journey. We knew how important the mission of CancerFree Kids is because of the lack of research support that is out there for children.
You know other kids have cancer and you know your child has that chance to get it, but I think in our hearts you always think it'll be somebody else. He alternated between 5 straight days of chemo every 2 weeks with a 3-day, then 3 days of chemo. So basically every 2 to 3 weeks he had chemo, and then in between there you stopped and had the big surgery to remove it, because they usually try to remove the tumor if it's possible with Ewing sarcoma. And then the last was his Ewing sarcoma was stage 4, so it had also moved into his lungs, which is kind of the scary part with Ewing's. They did the bone marrow transplant. So what they did is they did a high dose chemo, really wipes you completely out, and then they give you your own stem cells back to recover. And he was very, very sick. Went to the PICU a couple times, but he did recover.
He had been released from the bone marrow transplant unit June of 2019, and by August 2019 he had observed another tumor.
And so then we were down to just experimental treatments, and we did one, I believe, in September, and that didn't work. And about January, we tried one more chemo, and then it was just determined the cancer just basically started, ravaging his body. And at that point, it was we basically stayed in the hospital for his last 7 weeks.
He was in the hospital
that
pass. January of 2020. He got a pass and was transported by the hospital to Night for the Fight. I
remember sitting there at Night for the Fight, and you're watching all these kids, who are healthy, and you're watching him, and it was surreal to just. But on the other hand, it was exciting to think how much money they'd raised and how it will make a difference, for other families.
Jonathan loved CancerFree Kids and going to events like Night for the Fight and Dinner of the Champions. This last year, I've also been a part of volunteering and helping at Night for the Fight, and I had my own team for Night for the Fight.
It feels really great to help CancerFree Kids because, you think of how it's what Jonathan would have wanted, and you're helping other families not have to go through the same thing that you had to.
I was 13 years old, and I found a bump on my leg when I was shaving in the shower one day, and thought it was a little weird that it had just appeared and I had never noticed it before. So told my parents, we went to the pediatrician, assured us it was nothing. But we did end up having it removed at Children's eventually, and when the pathology report came back as inconclusive, that's when we kind of knew something was up. I was scared as a 13-year-old. I mean, I knew something was up. I I was old enough to know that something wasn't right, but my parents were also still trying to protect me until they had all the answers. And I knew something was up, and they confirmed it for me after all of the testing was done that it was Ewing sarcoma, and that's kind of just when the snowball began. So when I was diagnosed, they wanted to start right away with chemotherapy, so I jumped into that 2 days after I was diagnosed, and I ended up having 14 total rounds of chemotherapy spread almost over a year. I was just under a year, and then halfway through, after my 7th chemotherapy, I had my surgery. The thought was that they wanted to kill everything off first, and then remove it, and then go back in and make sure anything else that might have been left over was for sure gone. So took about a year. It was a brutal year, but worth it, obviously. So I had scans done in April of 2007, about a year after my diagnosis, that cleared me of all chemo and treatments and had definitively said that the tumor was gone. So around then was when they used the word clear. They don't use the word remission for about 5 more years. My doctors have always said that my chances of having a family naturally were a lot lower than other people my age, and so I've always been open to growing my family in whatever capacity that might look like. We're really, really fortunate that I was able to be pregnant and to have her, and that she's healthy and awesome, and yeah, that's huge. I think that any way that we can sort of figure out that big puzzle piece of the research that goes into finding a cure is crucial, and CancerFree Kids has really helped fill the void of the lack of funding for childhood cancers in specific, and them being able to raise the money and turn it over to researchers who know what they're doing and they can find a way and are chucking away at finding this cure. It's unbelievable the things that they're able to do with that.
I'm Tim Kripe, the Chief of the Division of Hematology Oncology, Blood and Marrow Transplant at Nationwide Children's Hospital, affiliated with the Ohio State University. Normally, we get our funding from the National Cancer Institute. The other major sources of funding for adults with cancer are industry and major corporations, foundations, and not really a market for childhood cancer research.
Kids have their entire lives ahead of them, and cancer robs that of them. And our therapies, we're making headway, but they're not perfect. They have lots of side effects, and for some kids, we still can't cure them, and that's where technology can really come and help, and we can give really leading edge and compassionate care through innovation.
And there's a number of research labs at Nationwide Children's Hospital studying Ewing sarcoma, and some of which have received funding from CancerFree Kids, and they're all studying ways of trying to figure out how Ewing sarcoma cells function, what drives them, what are the genes that get turned on or off, what makes them tick.
I think it's just crucial that people understand that organizations like CancerFree Kids give families so much hope. To know that there's people out there working towards this goal, to know that they're seen and that their story is being shared and told, that's crucial for people emotionally to just have that support and have that foundation to kind of lean on.
Childhood cancer is something that we need to do a better job of as a society. We're measured by how well we take care of our most vulnerable. Our children are our most vulnerable, and children with cancer are even more vulnerable. We need to take that seriously and put a large amount of effort, money, time, investments into making sure that we can do what's best for the kids. That means developing new therapies, that means testing and launching new clinical trials, it means establishing new diagnostic tests, it means the whole gamut, and also getting things back to patients. So CancerFree Kids is a well-run organization that funnels money into the most promising projects at the earliest stages that might not otherwise get off the ground. And so it's a great cause, great organization.
The main thing about CancerFree Kids is we're not just helping families get through cancer. We are trying to help stop cancer, trying to get funding so that there can be more research, so that cancer can be stopped and that there's more treatments available to children.